following material may not be suitable for all listeners. Listener discretion is advised.
Yeah, see? Yeah. Broadcasting live from the cultural void of Independence, Ohio. Phone number 578-1100 in the classic 216 area code. Toll free 888-723 WTAM. Big voice, man. Who am I and who are we?
The Rick Gilmour Show on News Radio WTAM 1100.
Open Phones America. Here until 10 o'clock when you get the Dredge Report live. Gee, I got the new schedule. For those of you who like to listen to me, I guess you're out of luck. Gonna barely be here all summer. Oh, well, sit down, have a little talk with the bosses and say, come on, geez, give me a break. Do you want me to lose my house? Although on a good note, I can make a lot of money on my house. Found that out. But I really don't want to sell it. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. I want to talk to you this evening if you have seen Fahrenheit 9/11. I fully plan on doing it. I got a little busy, and I didn't get a chance to go see it over the weekend here, but I wanted to see it, and I'd like to hear from you if you did see it. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm the guy that, and apparently people listen to the radio, and all they do is hear what they heard this week, and don't recall what you said a year or two ago. You know, maybe they're just tuning in for the first time, something like that. And not that I'm a giant fan of Michael Moore. He's all right, I guess. I mean, I can't think of the name of it. What was the movie he made about General Motors, the Flint, Michigan thing? I saw that a long time ago. It's just, I think it's important, at least for someone in my job, to go see something like Fahrenheit 9/11 and see what it's all about. And obviously, the way Michael Moore feels is that there's propaganda, no, really, being put out by the government, and so he's got his own brand of propaganda that he wants to put out. And I thought it was interesting. Did you see the clip, any of the clips from the movie, where it says, at the worst possible, just when things couldn't get worse, the president, if you've seen the film, and apparently a lot of you have, it's the #1 film at the box office, Michael Moore's incendiary film, as they put it, about the Bush administration took in almost $22 million in its first 3 days. It's the first documentary ever to debut as the top weekend movie. Moore narrowly beat his own record for the 2002 Academy Award-winning documentary Bowling for Columbine, which held the documentary record. And I was trying to look in my massive audio log because I thought somewhere I had the recording and I couldn't find it. I think I may have deleted his little anti-Bush speech when he collected his award for Bowling for Columbine, which had held the documentary record. So I guess he's quite a track record of making documentaries into successes at the box office. And I think it's important, especially during times of war, that we question the president, that we question the administration. Do you think there's something wrong with that? There are people that if I bring up this topic of conversation in public, I'm in for what they think is going to be a verbal tongue lashing, a lambasting, which I argue for a living, so I'm pretty good at it. I don't really necessarily like to. When it gets into a heated conversation at an inopportune place or time, I generally just look at people and ask them, are you at work? And they say no, and I say, well, neither am I. I'm pretty good at arguing with people. That's my thing. But there are people that, you cannot question the government. You cannot question what's going on. You cannot question. What do you mean you cannot question? I would have to assume. I'd like to hear from you, too. If you're a veteran, don't you think that that's what you fought or served this country for, is for the ability of, let's just say, for example, morons like me, right? People that you don't necessarily like what I have to say, but that's what this country stands for. That's what the flag stands for. That's what this country's based upon, is the idea of people that have an opinion that you may not necessarily like in this country were not beheaded. I like to consider myself the anti-Rush. This station has enough conservatism on it to just drive you up a wall. People ask me, what's your program about? I said, it's not like Rush's. Oh, good, I'll listen to you. Fully half the people in this country did not vote for George Bush the first go-around. I did, and I apologize to you from the bottom of my heart. I was wrong. We got the Republican War Party. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to steer you down the wrong path. It just kind of worked out that way, I guess. I have a new slogan for this go-around. Anyone but Bush. You realize the path that we're going down here, don't you? It's like what Howard Stern was screaming and yelling about. Stern's a very talented man. Not my cup of tea. I don't generally listen to him. But he said that this whole FCC thing, it's about taking away our First Amendment rights. It's about controlling what you hear on the airwaves. He's just being used as a scapegoat. Well, he gives himself more credit than he's worth, because he's not the only person the FCC is going after. They're not going after me. I know where the line is. I know what the rules are. And I know the times in which we live. And the times in which we live dictate that you got to play by these stupid rules until something changes. And it will change. Can you actually, do you really think that the country is going to become more provincial? As Rome burns, here we are in post-peak oil production and all that. And we're going to have more access to the media. And people are going to hear what they want to hear. And they're going to see movies like Fahrenheit 9/11. And if they can't see it in a regular movie theater, they'll just go out and get the DVD. Or they'll go to satellite radio to hear what they want to hear. Or there'll be internet radio. And they'll get to hear what they want to hear. As Rome burns, do you think we're going to become more provincial as time goes on? Do you think we're really going to clean up our act, or is Michael Powell doing this in the FCC just because they can? It's like when I was driving in here. I got behind a cop driving down West 7th. And this guy had to do 8 miles an hour. Why? So he can line up traffic behind him, and because he's driving a black and white, and because he can. Well, that's normal. But that's what the FCC is doing, essentially. I'm surprised somebody didn't censor Michael Moore. They're going down this path where you get behind them and they're ham-fisted and they're going to do 2 miles an hour and tell you what you can't say. So I expected that when I got behind the black and white in Cleveland. That's okay. What's not okay is I think Newburgh Heights needs to turn the BP at 49th and Harvard. They ought to just close their police station across the street and just make the BP the police station. I said that to the clerk. I go, jeez, you got more cops in here every time I stop than they do across the street. He said, well, that's because we have coffee and donuts and Subway. He said, when the Subway went down one night, there wasn't a cop in here. I was like, oh, okay. And I thought it was funny. They don't need it. They've got 2 police stations in Newburgh Heights. One's the brick building and the other one's the BP. And don't you dare get off the highway at 49th and Harvard and make a right on red. Because they'll see you from the BP station. They'll be hell to pay. Because they don't want to have to put down their sandwich to pick up a pen to write you a ticket. And I'm not bad-mouthing cops, just the ones in Newburgh Heights, I guess. Al, you're on the air.
Yeah, Rick.
Yeah.
I enjoy your show. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Thank you.
And I had some time to kill Friday morning. I went to see that movie, and I went there tongue-in-cheek. You know, I kind of heard all the conservative talk shows on your station, others. Glenn Beck was screaming that same morning while I'm driving down there. He's saying, don't waste your money to go see this by this left-leaning. I go, he's, they're just saying it's all garbage and trash. But I'll tell you, I saw the movie, and there was a lot of people down there, and they all left the theater cheered. They cheered at the end, and it really does a good job at explaining 911, and all he does is go back through the news articles and news reports, and then, as things happen, he goes back and he documents it, and then things happen, he goes back, back to as far back as 91, and he shows the ties Bush has with the Bin Laden family, with the oil companies, and when after the towers were hit on 911, all the planes were grounded across the country, and yet they let Bin Laden's family, relatives that were in the United States at the time, they let them fly out.
When you sit down and you start, I had a conversation with a gentleman at a VFW, and he was arguing with someone else.
Yeah.
And this guy's, I think, about 82 years old, and he's sharp as a tack. And he was arguing with this guy about, what's going on in Iraq and conspiracy theories and this and that. And he's quoting different books, and I don't recall off the top of my head which ones he was quoting. And this other guy was arguing back that, you can look anywhere and find information. He says, no. You look in the back of the book, right? It'll have reference points in the book. You look in the back of the book, and it tells you where you can go and read, the information that he's giving you in the book. It's all documented.
Exactly.
Well, if you can document things, well, then that's about as written in stone as we're going to get in this lifetime, isn't it?
Well, that's the thing about this movie. I thought it was just, you got the impression that it was just going to be a Bush bashing movie, which was kind of like a comedy that wouldn't really make any kind of sense. But they really document it well. They go back. He explains each episode, each thing. There's a lot of comedy in it, real good comedy too. It's really well put together. I think it's really going to be a smash hit. I left the theater with more of a anti-Bush feeling than going in there. I'll tell you that. I
heard there was a scene in the movie where the camera hones in on a woman who's crying and her son was killed.
Yeah.
And they said, if you don't tear up or get a lump in your throat watching that, you're not human.
Yeah, there's two scenes similar to that. One was an Iraqi woman where the whole town was destroyed. Her whole family was killed, and she's screaming in the streets, an elderly Iraqi woman. And also, towards the end, there was an American soldier, mother, who lost her son, of course, and she came from a family that had a lot of relatives in the Army. They were a pro-Army family, pro-military family, and she went back to see what happened, and she goes back to Washington to see all the protesters there, and they're starting to badmouth her, and she's, it's real. That was an emotional part.
Yeah, I'm going to go see it.
It's worth it.
All right, Al, thanks.
Thank you.
All right. And generally, I don't go to the movies. I wait until stuff comes out on DVD, and I just watch it at home. Then I really feel remiss that I have to sit here and tell you, well, gee, it's a shame, but I didn't get a chance to go. Oh, I didn't get a chance to go see it. I will during the week. And, of course, there's a pretty good chance that maybe if I hadn't gone to the first showing on the first morning or something like that, like Al did, real early and matinee kind of thing, that maybe I wouldn't have been able to get in. And I saw on the news they were showing sold out. And what you get from the media, you would get a sense that, no one would want to see this movie. Well, like I said, in 2000, fully half the country did not vote for George Bush. Fully half the people that voted for Al Gore. How's that, drag that conspiracy theory back again? All comes around to Florida, doesn't it? And who was the governor of Florida? Do we have the Irish music? Because you know who the weather's from. Eileen McShay from TV3. Triple Doppler forecast tonight. Cloudy with showers and thunderstorms. Mid-50s. Tomorrow, scattered showers and thunderstorms. Looks like I'm not doing what I was going to do tomorrow. Highs into those 70s. Currently 73 degrees in Cleveland. 73. I was going to sell an old car, and the guy will not pick up the old car if it's going to rain, because he's afraid that if it gets wet, it will fall apart. Well, I don't know about falling apart, but, you know, if he wants to do it on a dry day, looks like tomorrow's not the day to do it. Maybe Tuesday. Tomorrow morning on the big one, Bill Wills talks to a coalition advisor live from Baghdad, just days before Iraq's independence, which, there's another topic. You really think that's going to happen on June 30th? This whole thing's a mess. Anyway, you can hear from Donald Trump and Jerry Springer. Who has the bigger ego? Casey Coleman talks with Browns rookie quarterback Luke McCown, and Tom Hamilton gets ready to head to the Motor City next week. The Indians go down the road there to take on the Tigers. Don't be a dum-dum, would you? Wake up informed with Wills and Coleman in the morning, 5 until 9 here on the big one, News Radio, WTAM 1100. Dave, you're on the air.
Yeah, listen, you're talking about the movie 9/11? I just happen to, I'm not a regular listener or anything, but...
Right, Fahrenheit 9/11, yeah.
Yeah, I heard the first caller, and, you know, I'm scared to death that across America you've got brain-dead morons like him who are going to go see this movie and believe every scene.
Did you see it?
I've had the shooting script for 3 months, man. I wouldn't pay $8 to see that movie, but I know it's scene by scene, and I know that...
So you haven't seen it?
Well, no, I haven't seen it.
All right, goodbye. How can you comment on... Who's the brain-dead moron? That guy proves a point, doesn't he? Well, how, you know, and it's set up on the big board. Dave from Euclid said the movie is lie after lie after lie. But he hasn't seen the movie. So he's a good judge of whether or not it's a piece of crap or a good movie, right? Because he hasn't seen it. And he wouldn't pay $8 to go see something that he already knows is lie after lie after lie, but he hasn't seen it. But brain-dead morons across the country will line up to go see the film, right? Who's the brain-dead moron? The guy that's commenting on something he didn't see? That's like saying, you know, I've never had chicken in my life, but I hear it's just terrible. But I've never eaten chicken. I've never even tried a bite. I'm not allergic to it, but I've never tried it. But I've heard chicken's just terrible. So I'm not going to try some. Who's the brain-dead moron? Chris, you're on the air.
Gilmore, what's happening?
Just trying to stir up some controversy.
A long time no talk. Hey, man, you know, you touched on something a little while ago, and goes back to the root of all this stuff, and that's the fact that people cannot get over the fact that they lost power, and they'll stop at nothing to get their power back, no matter what they say and what they do. You know, it's something, you know, you talk about the people that call up and rip on this movie and haven't seen it, and I haven't seen the movie, but I don't really need to see the movie because look who made the movie. A quasi-socialist that can't stand Bush. It's got nothing to do with 9/11 and who he flew out of this country, and that's public knowledge. We all know he flew the Bin Laden family out of this country. That's got nothing to do with this. He can't stand the fact that Bush is his president, and the people like you and people like Michael Moore are going to stop at nothing until they get their power back.
I voted for him. I voted for George Bush.
I know you voted for him, Rick, but you can't stand the man.
Yeah, he's kind of an incompetent boob.
How is he incompetent? How is he incompetent?
The guy can't speak without a script in front of him. I mean, the guy clearly is just a figurehead, like a ribbon cutter, like Ladybug Jane Campbell, the queen of the flying hubcap. I mean, clearly he is not running the administration. Clearly it's being run by the Secretary of Defense. It's being run by the Vice President, you know.
Where's the documentary about Bill Clinton and the fact that he sold nuclear technology to the Chinese for tampering?
I don't know. That's not the topic of discussion because we're talking about a movie that's out. We're not talking about some fictional movie that doesn't exist. We're talking about a film that's out right now.
Yeah. And Michael Moore, a guy like Michael Moore is going to give President Bush a fair shake, right?
I think I could give Michael Moore a fair shake because I think he's a quasi-socialist too.
Yeah.
I want to go see the movie and see how much of it is baloney. I almost swore. And how much of it is the truth. I know it's going to be anti-Bush propaganda. I would know that going in.
But I'll tell you something, Rick. I'm sick and tired of people bashing the guy. You know, every president has done scumbag things at one time or another in their office days. There's no doubt about that. But I'm going to tell you something. As far as, you know, you want to put blame on people? How about blaming the people that blew up the trade centers? How about blaming Saddam Hussein for murdering his people? You know, you got that scene in the movie, they want to talk about how we blew up Iraq or blew up this city and people died. Yeah.
Chris,
what about the thousands upon thousands upon thousands that Saddam Hussein murdered?
Chris, I gotta go. Jesus. Can't get a word in edgewise. The music means It's time for important words and coverage of what in the world's happening. We'll get to that. We'll get to what's going on in Iraq. We'll talk more about the film. More of your phone calls. More of the program. I'm Rick Gilmour, the thinking man's friend. This is Cleveland's only news radio. Please see the film. Michael Moore is a talented filmmaker. Is he allowed to make what essentially to the right is anti-Bush propaganda? Are we receiving any pro-Bush propaganda? Well, of course. We always receive pro-presidential propaganda. That's normal. What was interesting, I saw Bill Clinton being interviewed last week. And while I was not a huge Bill Clinton fan, he's clearly an intelligent man. Whether you agree or disagree with his politics is up to you. I try to be a centrist. I try to be fair. So I see one of the callers wants to know, how can I comment on the movie if I haven't seen it? Well, what I thought was interesting is how can you comment on the movie if you haven't seen it either direction? I have not seen the film. I will see it. I think it should be quite interesting. Now you can't get through it all, so I'm going to start taking calls. Mike, you're on the air.
Oh, yeah, hi.
Howdy. Make sure your radio's turned down.
Yeah. I haven't seen the film, but
Your radio's not turned down. All the way down.
Turn down.
Yep, all the way down.
I haven't seen the film, but I've seen his other film, Bowling for Columbine.
Right.
And I dislike him completely.
Well, you got to admit, when you see him, even physically, and I hate to comment on that, but, you see somebody and you go, come on, dude, try some skinless chicken breast and a salad once in a while, and why don't you shave? It's like he goes out of his way to not be a likable character.
Yeah.
And I understand that he's got an opinion, and I understand this is America, and you're allowed to make films like this, and I think it's important that people see it, just so they can say it's either crap or not, and turn that radio back down. You don't need to hear yourself talk.
Have you seen Bowling for Columbine?
No, I have not. I saw the one about GM, and I can't remember what it's called now, the one years ago.
Yeah, I saw it, and I just didn't like the kind of comparisons he drew. He drew the comparisons like he went over to Charlton Heston's house and just, basically bashed the guy right in front of his face. And,
you know what I do like about him? That he's not afraid of controversy. And he doesn't care if you don't like him. He doesn't care. I wonder how many death threats he's had so far.
It's true, but the point is you can't like the guy because he just, makes people don't like him for no reason. He went to Kmart and, the Kmart headquarters during the film, and he asked them why they sold bullets. And the Kmart people should have just said to him, we sell bullets because people buy them. It's that simple. If people still want to buy these bullets, we're still allowed to sell them. It's, our constitutional right. And just because you and these two other people here don't want us to sell them, that doesn't mean we're not going to sell them. And they should have called and have them thrown out of the place.
Well, thanks for checking in, Tiger. Thanks for weighing in with your opinion. I really don't know how to define my politics. And I voted for Reagan, I voted for Bush, but I voted for Harry Brown one time, I voted for Jimmy Carter. I vote all over the place. I guess I try and vote for the person. And what I got this go-around was the Republican War Party. And I'm not real thrilled about that. But it's interesting how the media can spin things and how filmmakers can spin things. I walked around outside having a cigarette, and if I saw, Michael Moore at Kmart asking why they sell bullets, I'd say because they sell guns. Doesn't that make perfect sense? If you want a gun, you got to have bullets. I was walking around outside having a cigarette here, and there's a lot of open land. I don't know if you're like me. You ever get the funny feeling when you're walking around, say, in the metro parks or where there's a lot of open land and trees? It just, how when you look over a bridge, it kind of makes you want to spit? When I walk around in the woods, it kind of makes me want to shoot at something. Kind of makes you want to reach for a Mossberg. Like how they had that reach for a cold beer. And you walk around in the woods, and I don't know why, I'm just compelled to, I want to shoot at something. Kind of makes me want to shoot at something. Scott, you're on the big one.
Yeah, hi, Rick. I think you could make a ton of money from Michael Moore tonight.
Well, I'm going to go see it just because my curiosity is piqued.
No, I mean, just to record what some of the radical right-wing, redneck, retarded robots who called in so far today, and he can do the follow-up to his book, Stupid White Men. I mean, it can be Even Dumber White Men, Part 2.
Maybe I should make a copy of the tape and send it to him.
Yeah, because I've heard some sheer idiocy tonight.
You're certain to hear more.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, this is the Rush Limbaugh Glenn Beck station, and a lot of people feel that talk radio should not be used for anything but talking about what they feel is right, which is right-wing.
Yeah, click your heels, put on your brown shirt and your swastika armband, Heil Bush.
Yeah, well.
But no, I saw the movie, and Michael Moore to me is a hero. I mean, if I had the power, I'd give him the Congressional Medal of Honor.
Well, that's strong talk for...
I just don't care.
That's bold talk for a one-odd fat man. Oh, sorry, I'm quoting True Grit. Go ahead.
Thank you, Duke.
Yeah.
Yeah, mein Führer, I can walk. I don't know why I just thought of Dr. Strangelove, but...
I need that clip. From Dr. Strangelove. That is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Well, I'll say this, and I'll get back to the topic. The best was when Sellers was Merck and Muffley in the war room when the Russian ambassador was snapping pictures of the big board, and George C. Scott, as General Buck Turgidson, started tackling him. And
Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room.
You can't fight in the war room, yeah.
Yeah. But, now, I wonder if the same kind of controversy surrounded Stanley Kubrick in 1963.
Oh, yeah. I mean, remember when Sting, when he released I Hope the Russians Love Their Children, Too?
Yeah.
In 83? All the radical right-wing retarded robots just started, he's being unpatriotic to our glorious Führer, Ronald Reagan. But no, I mean, Michael Moore, you've got to see this film, and anybody with an open mind, which means eliminate 99.9% of the white males who listen to this station. He's fair, he's anti-Bush, but he documents everything he says. It's moving, it's gripping, it's honest, and if you care about your country, you've got to see how this country right now is in the clutches of a group of despicable weasels, led by that draft-dodging, drunken dimwit in the White House.
Somebody said to me last night, they said, I'd feel better about Bush if he still drank. Because he's a party frat boy kind of guy, and that's the way he acts, and that's what was depicted in the film, is the way, he goes golfing, and look at this drive, and as he hits the golf ball, and, yeah, we're going to kill a bunch of them people over there, and now watch this drive. And they said they'd feel better if he still drank. Because a lot of times people quit drinking and they get worse.
And, I mean, when they bring the draft back next year because of, their imperialistic little aims on Syria and Iran, do you honestly think Laura and Jenna are going to even face the possibility of it?
No. I mean, when you look at Vietnam, I believe, unless I'm mistaken, there were only 2 senators whose sons served in Vietnam, one of them being Al Gore, and he served there really as a photo op. And the other one, I don't know exactly who it was, but that was 2. That was it.
Yeah, he did face fire, so I'll give Gore credit on that.
The camera fire.
No, he did face live fire.
Not what I heard.
You heard wrong.
Okay, you tell me, because you're Mr. Liberal, and you call here on a regular basis, and so I'll take your word for it.
Well, thank you for the compliment. And by the way, thank you for what you said about me last week. That was brave, and...
I don't recall what it was, but...
Well, that I actually faced fire, and I bled for this country, and I have a right to my opinion.
Right, you have a right to your opinion, and you served the country, and you were in Gulf War I, and so if you don't like what's going on... And believe me, Scott, you are not alone. You are not alone. I sit around at VFW clubs and talk to veterans, and they're pretty much all of them, not all of them, a lot of them say 2 thumbs up. Most people say 2 thumbs up on Afghanistan. That had to be done, right? 2 thumbs down on Iraq.
Rick, my dad flew 25 B-17 missions in World War II. Schweinfurt, Regensburg, the first raid on Berlin, March 6, 44. He had 4 co-pilots shot dead next to him, closer than about maybe a foot next to him. He had one that he had to wipe the innards off of him during an 8-hour flight into Germany and back. And right now, if Bush ever came near him, he'd pull out his .45 and shoot him, because he despises Bush.
Yeah, and the premise of Gulf War I was completely different. That was someone who attacked one of our friends, attacked one of their neighbors. Gulf War II, and this idea of stomping into a sovereign nation that has not attacked anyone, and then it's not a war, right? Because it only lasted 60 days. So it's an unfair, unjust war, but it never became a war because it didn't last long enough. So now it becomes a police action or whatever they want to call it.
Yeah, keep in mind who this puts us in the company with of preemptive wars in the last 100 or so years. Adolf Hitler, Tojo of Imperial Japan, and Stalin.
Oh, great company, huh?
Tell me about it.
Well,
it almost makes me want to go back to Nevada and watch the birth of the three-eyed fish.
Oh, yeah. You were talking last week about how they're going to dump nuclear waste in an unprotected, what is it called?
It's going to be in Lake Mead where many people, boat, water ski, swim.
A bunker, unprotected bunker. That's what you called it, right?
Yeah, basically, because they've underestimated the thickness of it.
And that's how far from Vegas?
25 miles northwest, Yucca Mountain.
Great. So they won't need neon signs on the Riviera anymore or whatever.
They're going to glow in the dark.
Yeah, wonderful.
I mean, that's just another example of how morally corrupt this administration is. And I voted for it just like you, and I, along with you, offer my heartfelt apologies because we unwittingly unleashed a plague on this country and the world. And George W., I was passed out underneath my desk for most of 1973 in Alabama Bush.
Thanks, Scott.
Take care.
All right. Why is the drop button on the phone upside down? It says poured. Obviously, Trevisano got mad and threw the phone again. They had to piece it back together, and they put the drop button in upside down. Yeah, well, if he couldn't manage the Texas Rangers, now, I voted for this guy. I think I made a mistake. I don't think morally corrupt is a strong enough phrase, Scott. How about morally bankrupt? That sounds more like the phrase that we should be using. Dan, you're on the air.
Yes, I am. Happy to listen to you and the listeners' comments. I saw the movie Friday night to a sold-out house, and I was delighted with it. I thought it was a good movie. I can see why it won Best Film in Cannes. One of your earlier callers commented on Michael Moore kind of being brutal to Charlton Heston in Bowling for Columbine, and I quite agree he was. In this movie, I thought he was deferential to everybody that he contacted. He wasn't rude or obnoxious. I thought he put together a rather provocative film.
Well, I'm going to go see it.
Well, good. And the film that you did see years ago was Roger and Me.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, because I was sitting there racking my brain trying to think of what it was called. I have an Ephraim Cates Encyclopedia of Film at home, but I'm not at home, and I didn't think of it when by the time I thought of it, I didn't have the book in front of me, so... But yeah, I think that he's a capable, qualified filmmaker, but he also has passion for politics that's going to put him in an unpopular territory.
Well, apparently he does. I'm really sorry for the people who are so vehemently opposed that they won't open their eyes. I mean, I would advocate that everyone see it, regardless of their political affiliation or their personal leaning, because it is thought-provoking. It's biased, sure, but what isn't? I mean, the news is biased.
Well, sometime during the program, and I appreciate you calling, sometime during the program I will play for you something that was put together from clips from the news media many years ago, and see what you think of that, probably near the end of the second hour. Maybe I should play it before that. Maybe I'll play it, Edmund, if you want to come in here and grab it, if you got a chance, good producer Edmund. It's about 4.5 minutes long. And I don't know what we got as far as commercial spots. Right now I'm going to do the weather with Eileen McShea and all that sort of thing. And then we'll play that. I'll talk for a little bit, take another phone call, and then we'll play that. And then I'll go out and have a cigarette. How about that? But it was pieced together from events from the news media, and I played it at a bar. My buddy's a DJ at a bar, and I said, "Sir, can you play this?" And he did. And one reaction was someone walked up and said, "What is this crap?" Well, I don't think that it's insulting. I don't think that it was meant to be rude. It will get your attention, I will tell you that. It will make you listen to all of it. But it's a good example, I suppose, of what Michael Moore does when he puts together a film. If you're putting together a film out of actual news events, well, let me give you your triple Doppler forecast from TV3 meteorologist Eileen McShay. Tonight, showers and thunderstorms, Faith and Begorra, don't you know? We're going to get wet. Mid-50s. Tomorrow, more of the same, perhaps just scattered, but still rain, go away. Mid-70s. Currently 73 degrees in Cleveland, 73. You know, you could win a backyard barbecue with a Mike Trevisano show. That'd be a party for you and 20 of your friends. How about that? That ain't bad, huh? Catered by Shula's Steak 2 in Independence and the Blue Moose Saloon. And as our grand prize winner, you'd also receive a brand new grill courtesy of Patio Enclosures Incorporated. That don't sound bad, huh? A party and a grill. How about that? Special thanks to Mark's, Nabisco, and Pierre's Ice Cream. Register to win at WTAM.com for the second backyard barbecue on July 29th. Yeah, our cyber vote at WTAM.com. Do you like the Aaron Boone move? I didn't bother looking. I just wanted to make my comment that we are making a lot of hoopla about a 260 hitter that's only hit 21 home runs and played a little bit of second base. What we really need is relief pitching. How about that? How we doing on time, Edmund? Should we play that and then play commercials? That's the way to go? Okay, listen to this. And I'm not going to tell you who did it. It doesn't matter who did it. You've never heard of them. But it was pieced together from pieces of clips and stuff from what was actual news of the time of the assassination of JFK.
Where were you on November 22nd, 1963?
And now, here's Johnny. Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your...
Just a moment. We have a bulletin coming in.
Here is a bulletin from CBS News.
Stand by, please. Stand by, please.
In Dallas, Texas,
it appears as though something has happened in the motorcade route.
Ich bin ein Berliner.
3 shots were fired.
Put me on, Phil. Put me on.
3.
Put me on, Phil. Put me on.
3. President Kennedy has been seriously wounded by this shooting.
Stand by, please. Stand by, please.
The president was hit in the head. He grabbed himself and he slumped down. The president was hit in the head. He grabbed himself and he slumped down.
Stand by, please. Stand by, please.
More details just arrived. Mrs. Kennedy jumped up. She called, "Oh no. Oh no.
The energy.
Oh no.
The faith.
Oh no.
The devotion.
Oh no." The motorcade sped on.
Something has happened here. We understand there has been a shooting. Something has happened here. I can see many motorcycles. We understand there has been a shooting. Many police officers. Mrs. Kennedy's pink suit. Something has happened here. We understand there has been a shooting. We can't see who has been hit. If anybody's been hit, something is wrong here. Something is terribly wrong.
More details just arrived. Mrs. Kennedy jumped up. She called, "Oh no. Oh no.
The energy.
Oh no.
The faith.
Oh no.
The devotion.
Oh no." The motorcade sped on.
The world is very different now.
The flash, apparently official. The flash, apparently official. President Kennedy died at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time.
He's dead all right.
We are the heirs of that first revolution.
There is a prisoner. Wearing a black sweater.
This is the man who killed President Kennedy.
You have anything to say in defense?
Oswald has a shot. Dangling, his hand is dangling over the edge of the stretcher, dangling. His hand is dangling over the edge of the stretcher.
He's dead all right. He's dead all right.
Jack, move it. Jack, move it.
He runs the carousel club. Here is the ambulance.
More details just arrived. Mrs. Kennedy jumped up. She called, oh no. Oh no.
The energy.
Oh no.
The faith.
Oh no.
The devotion.
Oh no. The motorcade sped on. More details just arrived. Mrs. Kennedy jumped up. She called, oh no. Oh no.
The energy.
Oh no.
The faith.
Oh no.
The devotion.
Oh no. The motorcade sped on.
The faith. The faith.
The American Backyard Barbecue, a staple of summer recreation and fun. But little Billy doesn't seem to be having any fun. What's the matter, Billy?
I wish Mike Trevisano were here.
No problem.
WTAM 1100 presents the Mike Trevisano Backyard Barbecue. 20 of your best friends and a new grill from Patio Enclosure. Catered by Shula's Take 2 and Independence in the Blue Moose Saloon. Get registered now at WTAM.com. The Mike Trevisano Backyard Barbecue. With special thanks to Mark, Pierre's Ice Cream, and Nabisco. From News Radio, WTAM 1100.
The following material may not be suitable for all listeners. Listener discretion is advised.
Bum, 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 bum. Gee, I guess some people thought that disc about JFK was inappropriate, not appropriate. Well, it does mark a significant period in history now, doesn't it? We'll have one about 911 before you know it, probably. Maybe there already is one. Right, Big Voice Man?
The Rick Gilmore Show on News Radio WTAM 1100.
The phone number at this point is irrelevant, but 578-1100 in the classic 216 area code. 578-1111. I'll open up for you just in case you can try and get through on that. And the toll-free 888-723-WTAM. I have a guest in the studio, but real quick, I want to go to the toll-free. Patrick, you're on the air.
Hi, how you doing, Rick?
Good. We were talking about Fahrenheit 9/11, the Michael Moore film, and how it's number one at the box office, and how people who haven't even seen it. I have not seen it, but I'm trying to remain, just sort of like, well, I'll see when I see it. But a lot of callers are not going to see it, and that's that.
I tried to be cool and go see it today, and I really enjoyed it.
Now, did you vote for the president?
No, I sure did not. I can't lie.
Okay, I voted for Bush, and I kind of regret it now. In fact, no, I really regret it now. No, in fact, I say for 2004, anyone but Bush.
Well, you know what? I'm a flaming liberal, and I can't say anything but I'm a flaming liberal.
Well, at least you're honest about that. I mean, being on this radio station, there's a lot of conservatism goes on the airwaves, and a lot of liberals, I think, just drifted away. There's no one to listen to but me and Bob Becker that have any kind of liberal viewpoint at all.
Somehow, liberal ended up being basically a cuss word in America, and I'm not sure how that happened.
I don't know either, and I don't even know if I'd consider myself a liberal. I think I'd consider myself For years, I told people I was a Reagan Democrat or a Southern Democrat or something like that.
You know what, though? I got to tell you, I voted for Reagan both times.
Now, I voted for him once. The first time I voted for Carter. What did I know? I was 18.
Right, amen, brother. I voted for him both times when I was really young. But you know what I like about Michael Moore? I got to tell you this. I think he's just a big old schmo that does things that I wish I had the grace to do.
Well, I'll tell you what, and since so many people have called and did not like that Kennedy disc that I played about the assassination, I'm going to play it again at the end of the second hour, so in case anybody wants to set up their tape recorder if they'd like to record that. All right?
That was good.
Yeah, I thought it was good, and I didn't think it was insulting or rude. I thought it took a period in time in history and laid out the entire story in a fashion where if you're trying to teach people that are, say, 20, 21, 22, 23, that were not even born when that happened, you're going to have to teach them what happened in perhaps an entertaining fashion for them to even have their attention caught. Otherwise, you can watch the Zapruder film until the cows come home. Kennedy was not shot. I've seen pictures of his autopsy. The back of his head was missing. The bullet that killed him came in.
Absolutely.
The bullet that killed him came in from the front.
Poor JFK, who is all that, but he was shredded.
Yeah, and yes, was Lee Harvey Oswald involved? Yes. Was he a patsy? Probably. Yeah, and was there another shooter on the grassy knoll? There had to be.
But I honestly, when you go to see this movie, the thing, the most powerful moment in the movie is when Michael Moore goes to all the senators and asks them to sign up their sons and daughters to serve overseas, and they avoid him. They ignore him.
Yeah, well, I'll be commenting next week on the film because I'll have seen it by then. Thanks, Patrick.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm going to switch gears momentarily because my friend Griff Allen's here from the Cleveland Motor Media Group, and we were going to do this next week, right before the race, before the Cleveland Grand Prix. And you have scheduling problems, you cannot do it, so we're going to do it now. So if you're on the phone lines and you want to talk about the Michael Moore film or the JFK disc I played, that's fine. Hold your thoughts. We're not going to take an hour to do this. We just want to talk a little about the Cleveland Grand Prix. You're also with ESPN, Speed Channel, Spike, Fox, other networks, and Clear Channel, of course, has a piece of everything, so you're part of us, too. You're an avid karter, motorcyclist, racer. You enjoy puppies, kittens, sunsets, walks on the beach. I take it you put that in for the ladies in the audience that might be listening.
At the same time, though, I'm wearing makeup, though, just coming from a shoot for...
Oh, are you?
Glad you noticed. I
didn't notice.
It's okay to do it as long as you don't enjoy it. And I do realize that Fahrenheit 9/11 is a hot topic, and boy, I'll tell you, Gil, you really know how to push the buttons and get them going. And I'm not going to hold a lot of that up. In fact, I welcome a little bit of that discussion.
Now, you're going to be on Channel 8 in the morning?
Yeah, Tuesday morning, actually, bright and crispy. We're going to be doing a segment on motorcycles as well as racing carts. And motorcycles, I think everybody can relate to because they either ride them or know somebody who rides them or they see them every day.
Right.
And, what can you do to be safe about it, whether you're driving a car or a bike? What's good about it? Why are people into it? That kind of thing. We also might get a little extreme, so you're going to have to tune in there to watch Kicking It with Kenny to see. And then also racing carts, go-karts. They're not just for kids anymore. One of the best-kept secrets in motorsports, and you're going to see how affordable it is to go fast and, pull 2.5, 3 Gs in the corner and really have a lot of fun. You're also going to see why Champ Car defending champion Paul Tracy, karts on a regular basis to see how strenuous it is and how demanding it is. So we're going to look at a little bit of that Tuesday morning on Kicking It with Kenny, Fox 8.
Now, before we talk about the Grand Prix, I had a question for you. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine. We were talking cars, and he said, your name came up because I said, well, my friend Griff Allen is pretty much against street racing. Mm-hmm. We've gone over that ground when you've been on the program before.
Right.
And he said everyone that gets into racing starts with street racing. Whether it's good or not, whether it's dangerous, it is. But that most people that end up on the track started out street racing.
I'm not going to say that that's an inaccurate statement. I mean, the first place that you get your hands on a motor vehicle for most people is on the street.
I mean, it's a blanket statement like saying that all women given enough alcohol will turn into lesbians. That's a blanket statement, although I happen to believe it's true. but yeah, you can't say everyone that ends up on the track started out on the street. Not everyone, but a lot of people. And the new Toyota Scion that's coming out.
Right.
I've been told that apparently they send out a newsletter every couple of months. And if you turn the newsletter that shows apparently they've already got a bazillion aftermarket parts for the Toyota Scion so that it's all set up for a $10,000 purchase for a kid to make it into a street racer or whatever, one of those hot little cars. Mm-hmm. And when you get this newsletter, it shows what people have done to their own Scions. Then if you flip the newsletter upside down, it's got stuff about skateboarding. And I thought, Jesus, Toyota they've captured a market, mm-hmm. and they've jumped on it first. Brilliant. Mm-hmm. Brilliant. Because everybody wants, and that's the wave of the future, are going to be little tiny cars that people hot rod, right? That's the wave right now. I mean...
Yeah, that's the way it's going. I think we're trying to look at being more fuel conscious, and that speaks to smaller engines. And then, of course, you need less weight to be, competitive or, even practical in that sense. But then again, any vehicle, whether it's a car, a boat, motorcycle, anything, is that it's an extension of our personality. And what we do is we customize it, we personalize it. And that's why we're putting wings on a, on an Acura. And that's why we're putting rims and, sound systems and lights and the whole thing.
Like the Scion, the square one, they have a boxy one.
XB.
That's supposed to be the one for people that want to put the big stereo systems in. Then the aerodynamic one is the one for
the XA.
To put the wing on the back and that sort of thing. And I said, I'd like, even without a big stereo, I'd like the little boxy one with a wing on it. That'd be cool looking. Some graphics on the sides, and apparently you can get them with, I call it rim tape.
Yeah.
You can get tires such low profile that it literally looks like electrical tape on the rim, and that's it. And I thought, that's a pretty cool looking vehicle, and it's not a whole lot of money. What you could do is you could have 20 grand, right? Buy the vehicle for 10 grand, because you don't want an automatic, and maybe you'd want air, I don't know, but then you could put another 10 grand into it, doing all kinds of custom stuff to it. What is this, a commercial for Scion? Well, I thought
it's a statement of the way the industry's going.
Yeah, and it's an impressive vehicle. And I have not seen one of those in person either, just pictures. Are they really tiny?
No, they're actually pretty roomy, and the XB is the one that I had the most experience with, and I'll tell you, I'd take one in a minute. Just by the practicality, the uniqueness of it, the way it's laid out, the way it drives.
See, Toyota knows how to build a vehicle around the seats.
There you go.
And the other one is the Chevy Avio? I think it's an Avio. It looks like a Matrix. But it's not. It's Chevy owns Daewoo, and is it Daewoo? Daewoo. I always thought it was Daewoo, and people are saying Daewoo. I was right. Okay, so Chevy bought Daewoo. So the Avio is not a Chevy. It's got Chevy badges on it, but it's a Daewoo. But I sat in one. The guy paid 10 grand for it. I'm 6'3", and I got 3 inches of headroom over my head. They designed the vehicle around the 4 seats. I can get in the back seat with size 12 boots, and I can get in and out.
Unheard of.
That's the way cars should be built.
And consider this. I mean, a lot of things that just a handful of years ago we were going out and getting aftermarket, like a satellite radio or a GPS or a better sound system or better, strut tower braces or anything. A lot of times out of the factory, cars are coming with those. The RSX, I think, was one of the first production vehicles I saw with an aftermarket strut tower brace in from the factory. And now, things that I just mentioned, GPS and satellite radio, things of that nature.
Well, you're
even
right.
high-performance seats, racing seats.
People want that sort of thing,
right.
And then the factory figures, well, if they're going to go out and buy it aftermarket, why don't we offer it?
Somebody else make the profit when we can.
Yeah. Beautiful, isn't it? Beautiful. And Toyota is just, absolutely, and I almost swore brilliant. When they came out with the Scion for, essentially, it's an entry-level car for people that want to customize their vehicle. It's brilliant. They'll make a, and I almost swore again, a lot of dough.
Yeah, Toyota's making very, very aggressive marketing efforts recently, not just with Scion, which is a badge itself. It's not necessarily the Toyota Scion. It is the Scion XA or the Scion XB. But also in racing, they're making a tremendous amount of effort to make an impact on a very broad audience. So they're trying to get all generations, from the first vehicle purchase all the way through all stages of your life.
So what's coming up with the Champ Car Grand Prix of Cleveland? Newsman Cliff was asking me, he says, what's a Champ Car? Normally it's kart, or normally it's something, what's a Champ Car?
Well, a Champ Car is, a handful of years ago, we redefined what used to be called an Indy car, because Tony George, who owns the IRL, the Indy Racing League, he owns the patent or the trademark on the word Indy car, so he kept that for his series, which is exclusively dedicated to oval track racing. We almost, under the Mike White tenure here, had a square oval on the flat airport at Burke one year, but that did not last very long. Champ Car came back. Kart came back. Kart is what it used to be called, Championship Auto Racing Teams Incorporated, started in '79 by Roger Penske and others, and was dissolved recently and then became the property of Paul Gentilozzi, Kevin Kalkoven, and the third name will come to mind in a moment. But investors, they renamed it Open Wheel Racing Series, and it encompasses not just the Champ Cars, but also Trans Am as well as the Toyota Atlantic Series. So a Champ Car is probably the closest thing that we can relate to is a Formula One car. Difference there is they have V10s naturally aspirated. We have V8s that are turbocharged. Differences, a little bit differences in weight and tire restrictions. They have groove tires. We don't. We run slicks in the Champ Car series. So just a couple of subtle differences. The performance differences are kind of close, but the excitement is going to be happening on the North Coast. Formula One won't be there. Champ Car will. It's going to be happening this weekend coming up.
And it's going to be the whole weekend?
It's going to be Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Saturday evening race moved back to 5 o'clock p.m. My last indications that I get from the website, which is GrandPrixofCleveland.com. There you go.
Right. So, and these cars go almost 200 miles an hour?
Yeah, at the end of the back straight, before they hit turn 3, they'll probably be tickling 186, 189, maybe 190 or so, depending on conditions and how well they get out of turn number 1.
How fast would one go if you just took it on Mrs. Orcutt's driveway? You ever heard of Mrs. Orcutt's driveway?
Right.
Let me explain to the listening audience. There's a lady who lives in Texas that Lyndon Johnson built her a driveway because she was so far off the highway that it is a secret location that is used by people that are auto enthusiasts and magazine writers to test out top speed of vehicles because the driveway is something miles long that LBJ had the state of Texas pay for his friend Mrs. Orcutt. Not her real name. But anyway, how fast would one of these go on a dead straight?
Well, if you uncorked one and geared it for it and reduced all the wing, I want to say 245, 250 or so. Consider it Fontana, where I believe the record's still held. I want to say it's DeFerrin that holds it. I want to say it's 220s.
You said this is a turbocharged V8?
Yeah, turbocharged V8.
What kind of V8? Who makes the motor?
They're exclusively made by Ford.
Oh, are they?
It is Bridgestone presents the Champ Car Series powered by Ford.
So every car has the same specs.
Correct.
So it's
as far as the engine goes and the tires.
Right.
Even in the tires, there's a little bit of a difference there.
So it really is the driving skill that makes a big difference.
Not only that, but they've added something unique this year. It's called push to pass. It's basically a limited amount of time during an event in which the driver can push a button on the steering wheel and gain extra horsepower. So it's something that can be used sparingly or aggressively, depending on what the driver needs. So for the most part, the engines are identical, except for those moments when a driver is in an advantageous position to use that extra horsepower to gain an advantage on a competitor.
I'm speaking with Griff Allen from the Cleveland Motor Media Group, and we're talking about the upcoming the Champ Car Grand Prix of Cleveland coming up next weekend. And we'll get back to that after we give you the triple Doppler forecast from TV3 meteorologist Eileen McShay. Oh, tonight, Faith and Begorda, don't you know, rain and thunderstorms, low in the mid-50s. Tomorrow, more of the same, but only scattered, don't you know, lads and lassies. Low in the low 70s, currently 72 degrees in Cleveland, 72. Did I ever tell you why I only put 239 beans in me bean soup, Griff? Because one more would be too farty. Tomorrow morning on the big one, Bill Wills is going to talk to a coalition advisor from Baghdad just days before Iraq's supposed independence. I editorialized there. I don't know how independent they're going to be, but and we'll hear from Donald Trump and Jerry Springer, who has the bigger ego. I think Donald Trump.
Takes a lot to write a check. Well, never mind.
Casey Coleman talks with Browns rookie quarterback Luke McCown, and Tom Hamilton gets ready to go to the Motor City, and the Indians are going to be taking on a road trip to take on the Tigers. Or as Bob Becker would say, those stinking no-good Tigers or something like that. Okay. Wake up informed with Wills and Coleman in the morning. Don't be a dum-dum. We'll wake up and listen to them from 5 until 9 here on News Radio, WTAM 1100. So you're going to be on with Kenny Crumpton on Channel 8 Tuesday morning, real early, like between 6 and 9, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And you're going to be riding in one of these two-seater Champ cars?
Actually, you know what? That happened last week. I had to go to Arkansas to do a shoot. We're rebuilding a Tri-5 project for ESPN. The day before we get there, they drop the car off of the rotisserie where they're painting it. And, of course, they overnight a replacement part so we can make the shoot. The replacement part got damaged in traffic. So I went to Mena, Arkansas for nothing.
And I couldn't call you.
For nothing but to miss my ride in the Champ Car 2-seater. And if you haven't seen this thing, it's painted silver. It's got Spike TV on it because Spike and HDNet are doing or HDTV rather, are doing the TV here this year for the whole Champ Car series. It's the silver car that is in all the ads there, and you'll notice a second seat behind the driver. And you get in that thing. It's a legitimate full-sized, full-deal Champ Car, and they take media, VIPs, and contest winners out on all the race courses. First time I saw it was in Long Beach when I was out there for the season opener this year, and my line came up for my place in line came up for a ride, but I had to blow it. I was out of town.
We could have had a couple radio people get in those things, and it'd do 22 miles an hour.
22.
Try the skinless chicken breast and salad once in a while.
Yeah.
So, and also, I guess if you want to, you can camp.
Absolutely. Camp on Cleveland. What's gotten bigger in recent years is people renting motorhomes, and they stay actually at the Grand Prix because, on the weekends, especially July 4th weekend, Cleveland is just going to be off the chain. There's everything going on. And why not get a motorhome, take it down to the Grand Prix, park it right up alongside the fence. You get, great viewing and everything. And you're right there. You're right there for all the entire event.
I will find out before the show is over. Someone please call the contest line at 578-1111 and tell good producer Edmund, where are the fireworks in Independence? Because my boss said, he knows how much I love the 4th of July and I love fireworks. Well, he offered me the night off with pay. They were going to run some best of stuff. And I said, no, I can't. I really can't, because I thought about it. Between 8 and 10 on July 4th, You know how many people are going to be out in their cars driving to the fireworks, and if something happens or if the power goes out or we have a storm, I said, no, I'll work it. I feel it's important. But I thought, I'm going to play a best of maybe for the last 10 minutes of the show so I can cut out of here, because normally the fireworks don't start until 10 o'clock anyway. And with a city's name like Independence, I would assume that they're having fireworks. I just don't know where they're at. I don't know how to get around in Independence. I don't know my way around here at all. I don't want to watch them out a window. I want to go there and get as close as possible. Maybe the mayor is listening and can get me a special pass like I used to get in Westlake so I could park in his lot, the special lot. Then I could get in, and that way I could get up close and see the fireworks. And
smell the cordite, yeah.
Yeah, a buddy of mine and I was sitting watching the fireworks when they used to have them at Great Northern Mall years ago. Before the mall was built, it was just a strip of stores. We're sitting cross-legged, no shirts and cut-off shorts. We're kids. I don't know, we're about 14, 15. And he's sitting there, we're both like Indian style, cross-legged. And all of a sudden, whoop, something lands between his legs. It's smoking. It's about 6 inches in diameter and about 8 inches tall and covered in wax. It was part of a firework, and I'm talking big around, bigger, 6 inches across, across this circular thing that held part of a firework. And he saved it for years and used it as an ashtray. And he never dumped it. He said, I'll wait until it's all full of cigarettes, and then I'll throw the whole thing out. And he did. But that thing was smoking, and I thought, gee, that could have burned your naughty bits.
Just a little bit.
Well, Griff, so any more information we need to add on the Champ Car Grand Prix of Cleveland coming up?
GrandPrixofCleveland.com is where you can get a lot of your questions answered about who's involved there. Of course, U.S. Bank leading the way, and Greater Cleveland's Convention and Visitors Bureau stepping up to the plate once again, as well as a lot of others that are coming together and keep this event happening for, I want to say it's the 23rd year that we're doing this here. One of the longest-running events in the city here.
That's amazing.
Well, the series, rather. One of the longest-running events in the series.
It makes you feel old. It's like a couple weeks ago. I said, you want to hear something that'll make you feel old? This will make you feel old. Remember Baby Jessica? The one that fell down the well in Texas? Mm-hmm. She just graduated from high school this year.
Don't you have like some kind of news or weather or something?
I have phone calls. Phone calls.
Let's do that.
Yeah, and I guess if you don't shut up, you're more than welcome to hang around.
Like I talk too much.
Well, no, my boss.
I want to talk to these people about Fahrenheit 911 or where else they want to talk about.
No, my boss will throw a fit.
Okay.
Yeah, we can cover the Grand Prix.
We don't want that.
So anyway, you'll be on Channel 8 with Kenny Crumpton on Tuesday morning from between 6 and 9.
Right. Satisfying your need for speed, rather.
And everybody on the big board. Let me see. Somebody from Seven Hills says, I want to talk to the guy in Lakewood that says that, Kirk.
Yeah.
You said that disc I played about the JFK assassination was not appropriate?
No.
What was wrong with it? All it basically did was tell the story of what happened.
Just don't put the hip-hop,
You know what the music in the background is?
I mean...
It's Honky Tonk Woman, Rolling Stones.
Yeah, I know, but it's not the original Honky Tonk Woman.
Well, you mean because they sampled it?
They sampled it. It was basically hip-hop, okay?
This was done pre-hip-hop. This is a number of years old.
No.
I do know.
I've been around for like 41 years, okay?
Okay, I've been around 43 years, okay?
No, I mean, I'm 49. I've been playing music for 41.
This thing's at least 10 years old. This thing's at least 10 years old because I know where I got it from.
And the other thing is, Michael Moore, he makes his money off of other people's pain. He does.
It's a documentary.
But all his life, this guy's a multimillionaire now.
People could say that George Bush has a career based on other people's pain by sending us into Iraq for essentially what's a terrorist attack.
Michael Moore wouldn't be here unless he fed off other people's pain.
Wait a minute. Michael Moore wouldn't be here if people didn't go see his films. That's the case and that's just the way it is. Michael Moore would not be here. He wouldn't have millions of dollars if people didn't spend the money to go see the films. And if they're that inappropriate, then don't go see it if you don't. I mean, I'm going to go see it because I believe it would be somehow educational to get propaganda on the left side as well as propaganda that we get every day on the right side.
And if I'm not mistaken, a mechanic will make money when your car's broken, or a doctor will make money when you're feeling ill. I mean, this is his craft. This is what he's committed to. This is what he does.
Craft?
There's no reason why he should make a living.
My boss just had a poop fit.
Oops.
More of the program after these important words and cover. Let's vacation. Thank you, System of a Down. 578-1100 in the classic 216 area code, talking about Michael Moore's new film, Fahrenheit 9/11, and I have not seen it yet, but I think I really should go see it, and I think you should probably go see it too, no matter what your political leanings are. And that way you'd be informed, and it's educational, and I guess you'll make Michael Moore more of a multimillionaire. Or you can always just be out of touch and wait till it comes out on DVD. By that time, the controversy's over. The controversy is nowhere near over. I wonder what Drudge Report's going to be talking about after the top of the hour. I have a funny feeling it might be Fahrenheit 9/11. I have a funny feeling. Like I said, before the end of the program, I played something earlier about the Kennedy assassination. Edmund, make sure we have time to work that in. Let me know when. And set your tape recorder up if you like it, or set your tape recorder up if you don't like it, and you're going to send a copy of it to the FCC and say that I should be taken off the air entirely. Either way, I don't care. David, you're on the air.
Hey, Rick.
Hey.
Do we ever want to equate accusations with facts?
Explain yourself.
Okay, well, I'm an Army veteran, never saw combat, but I served my country, and I'm a strong supporter of our president. You had your lefty liberal guy call in talking about George Bush dodging the draft. Where was Clinton during Vietnam?
I didn't say I was a Clinton fan either.
Okay, he was in England.
He was also in Russia. Bill Clinton was also invited to Russia back in a time when no one went to Russia without being compromised, which meant that they had something on you that they could use against you later.
Okay.
So what they had on him, we don't know.
Our president served the country. Kerry had a very brief stint in Vietnam and came home and threw his medals over the wall.
Of course, he had every right to do that, having been in combat in Vietnam.
Well, absolutely. I mean, we're a country of free speech, and the next guy talked about, our president being morally corrupt.
Well, I think during his time in the service, he was probably, Well,
and then we had a certain president who was getting oral favors.
I know, and I'm just jealous because I don't have that. I don't get that at work.
Well,
that's not one of my perks. It's not one of my perks.
It's just one of those things where, we get a lot of people calling in with, thoughts and accusations, but, the thing that bugs me is no one calls in to back up any accusation or fact in that movie or in the current political scene right now.
Have you seen it?
No.
Okay, go see it. Go see it. And then, well, that's why I thought a lot of people are probably in the same boat, right? You haven't seen it. It just came out. You're trying to avoid the big crowds or that kind of thing, or it might be sold out. So I talk about it today, and then a week from now, we'll talk about it again. Saturday or Sunday or whenever day I'm on, I'll have to look. And you'll just have to keep it tuned here to the big one, WTAM 1100, to find out when that is. And then that way, we can share the experience. That way, you've had a chance to see it, I've had a chance to see it, and you've had a chance to see it when there's not a lot of crowds. Now, if by next week I bring it up and you still haven't seen it, I don't want to hear from you at all. If I bring it up and we're talking next week, if you haven't seen it, you've had a week and a half to see the film, right? So you've had every chance to see it. Odds are, if you were going to see it, you would have seen it by then, right? And if you haven't seen it by then, well, then you probably will never see it. And can't blame it, you're just never going to watch that thing ever, even if it was free. You're one of them guys that if it was handed to you on a DVD, you'd throw it on the ground and stomp on it. So those people will never have their minds open whatsoever. And if you're just a close-minded boob, there's no room on this program for close-minded boobs except for me to make fun of you, which is, on second thought, yeah, you can call. Jason, you're on the air.
How's it going?
All right.
Yeah, actually, I have seen the movie, Fahrenheit 9/11, and I think it's every American's duty to see this movie. It's the most important movie I think that's come out so far this year and in this decade.
Did you vote for George Bush?
No, I did not.
Okay.
Actually, technically, I did because I voted for Ralph Nader, but...
Yeah, a vote for Nader was a vote for Bush.
Vote for Bush, definitely.
Yeah. Kind of, sort of, yeah.
The movie was just so enraging and so... it was hilarious at the same time, but there were just things in that movie that, they show things on paper, they show, actual things that are facts, or that I assume are facts because, I saw it, but it's ridiculous. Members of the Bin Laden family were allowed to leave the country on September 13th when nobody else could leave the country. Nobody else could fly. the bin Laden family was allowed to leave. There are ties up and down with the Bush family and the bin Laden family.
Now, to be fair, there are.
There are.
I mean, that's fact. We know that.
Right.
To be fair, would you think that when it came out that the bastard son had done this, Osama had done this, that they were thinking that maybe the bin Laden family, who were the good ones, not the bastard son,
right?
Maybe they would be better off not being in the United States right after this happened?
Obviously, yes, because I mean, right after that happened, anybody who was of Arab descent was, harassed or whatever for whatever reason.
Wouldn't you think that if you were Lee Harvey Oswald's brother, you'd want to lay low after November 22nd, 1963?
Right, but when in November 22nd, 1963. Didn't the Warren Commission, the independent investigation into the Kennedy assassination, which was originally for the 9/11, which was originally which was stopped by George Bush, the independent investigation. Now, don't you think at that independent investigation, the Warren Commission, do you think that they interviewed the family members and questioned the family members of Lee Harvey Oswald? More than likely, yes. With any kind of crime like that, they would, ask the family members. Michael Moore brings us up in the movie that they weren't interviewed and questioned.
I will still question about Kennedy.
Right.
Forever. Why seal the Warren Commission's evidence and results for 75 years?
Right.
What are they hiding that it takes 75 years? If I live to be 78, I want to know, by God, because I was 3 when that happened there, 2 and a half, whatever. I want to know what happened and why the American public is apparently too stupid to be given information.
That's the thing, and that's what we are. We're too stupid. We're being treated like children.
Yes, we are.
Being given this information. But it makes a lot of sense, at least to me. I guess in my own paranoid mind. But Osama bin Laden is a Saudi, and everything that had to do with Saudi Arabia I'm just quoting stuff from the movie here. This is stuff that I saw in the movie. Everything that had to do with Saudi Arabia in the final report about the September 11th investigation was censored by the president. It was classified. The president classified all this information. Like I forget what they said in the movie, but there was a lot of information from this report that was made classified by Bush, and a lot of it had to do with Saudi Arabia. There was no mention of anything about Saudi Arabia in this whole thing.
Jason, I got to run. Thanks for checking in. I want to just go on record and say that I said a long time ago, I understand why we're going to Afghanistan, right? That made sense. Now, what I don't know is, let me digress a bit, there's still poppy fields in Afghanistan. And they're still producing the only cash crop that Afghanistan has, because what else comes from Afghanistan but those long-haired, pointy-nosed dogs and those throw rugs you put on your couch. So somebody is profiting off of the poppy fields in Afghanistan. Is it the CIA? Who is it? Somebody's making money off that. You do not hear about us bulldozing the poppy fields to try and get rid of the scourge, to, keep heroin from being produced or what. They don't talk about that. But I can understand why we went there, and I fully understand why we killed everybody in that prison. And the prison, what they were doing was they sent if you did not know this, they sent a couple of CIA and a couple of whatever they're called that are like CIA from Britain. And they sent them in, and they were lining everybody up one by one and shooting them in the head. Well, of course there was a riot, because all 800 of them knew that sooner or later they were going to be dead anyway, so why not have an uproar? Because you're not going to take religious fanatics and have them have any social values or qualities that are redeeming. You had to kill them. So this just made a riot? Okay, good. Now we don't have to waste all them bullets. We'll just waste a few bombs and just make the whole place go up. And I can understand why we had to do that. I also wondered, why did we not go to Saudi Arabia? That's where we should have gone, right? Saudi Arabia is where all of the hijackers were from Saudi Arabia. They were not from Iraq. And again, I will stand on what I said, that us stomping into a sovereign nation like Iraq, I will give you the analogy I have given dozens of times, the mother of all talk radio, repetition. There's a little kid on the playground. Little Bobby was bad 2 weeks ago and took a rock and hit Susie in the eye. Now, you're the teacher, and you're watching the playground. And you go out there, and you're looking at little Bobby, and he don't have a rock in his hand, but he's got that same look on his face that he had 2 weeks ago, and you walk up and you punch him one right in the face. Guess what happens to you as a teacher? You get fired, you get sued, you get scorned by the community. We had no coalition when we went into Iraq this time. None. We strong-armed a few people, Under NAFTA, under NAFTA, we control the mineral rights to Canada and Mexico. So we strong-armed Canada. Okay, you're not going to help us? We want some cheap oil until this thing gets straightened out to try and keep the gas prices a little lower. Otherwise, we'll just come and take it, because we own it anyway under NAFTA and GATT and all those treaties and everything. So, and then we could talk a few people from a few countries to come in. And you know what basically they were doing? They were there to serve food to the troops. They weren't there fighting alongside our troops. And, of course, we got the Brits. And, what's a few less bad teeth anyway? But we did not have a UN coalition, and we really didn't want one, because we want to control the spigot in this post-peak oil production time in which we live, with hybrid vehicles coming out and smaller vehicles. And we want to control the spigot on what's left of the oil. And then we can say, hey, China, you want oil? Well, you were bad. You did something we didn't like yesterday, so Russia, you're first. China, you can wait. We want to control the spigot. It's a sovereign nation, and what we did there by going into Iraq was an act of terrorism. Don't you think if you were an Iraqi and there were no wars going on and you had no airstrips because we bombed all of them out in 91, don't you think you'd look at that as an act of terrorism? That would be like a foreign country. That would be like Russia deciding, you know what? We want Alaska back. And we're going to take Alaska. And we're going to go in there and do whatever we have to do and kill as many American soldiers as we have to take back Alaska. Has Alaska attacked anybody? No. But we want Alaska back. We just decided that's that. There's plenty of stuff in Alaska that we want. So Russia comes in and tries taking over Alaska. How do you think that would go? The thing is, Alaska is part of us, the U.S., and we can defend ourselves.